Hi everyone, it's Elliot from TutorialEdge.net, and in this tutorial we're going to be having a bit of fun and we're going to be creating a real-time YouTube stats monitor. So we're going to be covering a number of different topics. So we're going to be covering things like WebSockets and how you can use WebSockets to communicate in real time with front-end applications. And we're also going to be looking at how you can interact with existing REST APIs and retrieve results from those APIs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my code editor of choice, which in this case is Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to create a really simple directory called YouTube, just for this particular video. And within this, I'm going to create a main.go file. Now within this main.go file, I'm going to do package main. And I'm going to import the format package. And I'm going to create my main function like so. So fmt.println YouTube subscriber monitor. Perfect. Now I'm going to just quickly sanity check that this all runs as expected. So I'm going to open up my terminal and do go run main.go. And as you can see, everything's working as expected. Now, one of the steps you'll have to do in order to initialize this project for Go modules is to run go mod init and github.com/your username. And we're going to call this YouTube stats, like so. And in this case, I've already run that command, so the Go mod file already exists. Cool, so now that we've sanity checked that this all works, let's go ahead and create a really simple net/HTTP based server that runs on localhost port 8080. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to first create a new function called setup_routes. And I'm going to call http.handle_func, and I'm going to set up the base route or the /route, and I'm going to map that to a homepage function that I'm going to be creating in just a second. And below this, I'm going to do log.fatal and http.listen and serve, and this is going to be on port 8080, and the second parameter is going to be nil, like so. And within my main function, I'm going to want to call this setup routes. And I'm going to have to finally define this homepage function. So func homepage and w, and this is going to be http.response_writer. And it's going to take in a pointer to a HTTP request. Cool. So I'm just going to do format.fprintf, passing in my response writer, and hello world. And now we can check to see if this all runs successfully by calling go run main.go once again. And I should be able to navigate to localhost 8080 and oops, go back there and make this bigger, and you should see hello world has been successfully rendered within my browser. Cool, so we've got a nice and simple server to base the rest of our project off of. Now, the next part of the puzzle is talking to the YouTube Data API. So you're effectively going to have to walk through this Getting Started guide, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. But once you've done that, you should have a project within the Google dashboard, and you should be able to enable the YouTube Data API v3. Now, once you've done this, you'll be able to then create a new credential for that, and that will give you an API key. Now, this API key is the same API key that we're going to be using in order to authenticate against the API and retrieve the YouTube subscriber stats for our channel. Cool, so now that we've got that, we can open up our terminal within our editor, and we're going to create a new curl command. So this curl command is going to look something like this. So curl-i -G -d, and we're going to craft the query parameters for this. So the ID, which is the first query parameter, is going to be the ID of the channel that you want to talk or retrieve. And in this case, I'm going to use the TutorialEdge ID. We're then going to want to specify the part and say statistics, like so. And finally, we want to specify the key. So and key equals, and it's going to be this key here. So copy that, paste it in, and close the quotes. And next we want to specify the endpoint that we're going to hit. So https // and it's going to be www googleapis.com/youtube/v3/channels, like so. Hit enter, and that should return the JSON response from that particular API. Now, as you can see here, it's got the items array, and the first item in that array is the statistics for that particular channel. And as you can see, subscriber count, which is the one we're after, is 4779. Awesome. Now that we've verified that we're able to hit this YouTube API and retrieve the results we're after, let's go ahead and create a new YouTube package within our project. So I'm going to do that by creating a new directory called YouTube, and I'm going to create a new file under that directory called youtube.go. Now within this package, I am going to start off, or within this file, sorry, I'm going to start off by defining the package. So package is YouTube. I'm then going to define the structs that will model the response that we received back from this API. So type response, which will be struct, and this will have a kind, which is a string that'll map to the tag JSON kind. Sorry, and then we're going to have the items array, which will be an array of type item, which we'll just define in a second. JSON items, and that should be all we need from that particular one. So the next one is the items struct. So actually we'll make this singular, and struct, and this will have a kind once again, JSON kind, and it'll have an ID should we need it, JSON ID, and finally I have the stats object, and again we're going to create another struct for that in just a second, and that'll map to the key statistics here. So statistics, and then just below this we want to do the statistics or stats struct. So within this object here we have the view count, we have the comment count, we have the subscriber count, and we have the video count. So I'm going to take view count and subscriber count for now. So views is a string in this case, it's not an integer, and view count, and then subscribers, again it's going to be string, not integer, JSON, and subscriber count. And that should be everything we need to model this request, or to unmarshal this request. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just below here I'm going to define a function called getSubscribers, and this is going to return an item or an error. So within this function we're going to want to do the following. So var response, which will be of type response. Below this we're going to want to create a new request. So request or error is equal to http.newRequest. This is going to be a GET request, and we're going to want to hit that same API endpoint that we hit in this curl command. So steal this. So https://www.googleapis.com/youtube/v3/channels. And then we're going to handle the error if there is any. And we're going to do fmt.println the error, and we're going to return empty item struct or error. And then below this we're going to create the query parameters for our particular request. So q is equal to rec.url.query, and we want to do the following. So q.add and the key, and in order to save ourselves from hard coding in any keys or credentials into our code, which could be potentially exposed when we commit this into a repository like GitHub, we're going to pick them up from the underlying environment. So I'm going to code this in, and then I'm going to show you how you can set these environment variables that will then get picked up. So os.getEnv and YouTube key. The next one is add ID, and this is going to be the channel ID. So getEnv, once again, channel ID, and below this we're going to do q.add, and this one we're not fussed about, so just statistics like so. And finally, we're going to want to encode these query parameters into our request URL. So request.url.rawQuery equals q.encode. And just before I forget, I want to pass in the nil parameter to this new request up here. That should fix that error. And next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a new HTTP client that's going to be able to send our request. Once we get the response from that request, we're going to want to print out that response, and we're going to want to unmarshal the JSON response that we got here into the structs that we got up here, or that we defined up here. Now, first steps first is client is equal to new http.client, and response or error is equals to client.do and our request, and it's lowercase. And then if error does not equal nil, fmt.println error, and we want to return item or error, and we want to defer the response body closing. So defer resp.body.close. Cool, so at this point, if everything went to plan, we should have this JSON response from the API. Just to sanity check, we're going to print line response status and passing in the response.status, which should hopefully be 200. If it is 200, then body or error is equal to ioutil.readall response.body. Again, check the error, format.println error, and return item or error. And then below this, we're going to want to unmarshal the bytes that we received from this io.readall call into the response object that we defined up here. So actually, I'm just going to move this down here. Just so it's closer to where it's actually getting used. And error equals json.unmarshal the body and pass in response. Again, one last error check. If error does not equal nil, then return the item or the error. And finally, we want to return the response.items, and it's going to be the first item in the items array, which will be this object here, and nil because there's no errors at this point. Awesome. So if we come into our main.go, and if we import the newly created package, so github.com/Forbes, and we called this YouTube stats/YouTube, which will reference this YouTube package. And just in our main function, we want to do the following just to test things out. So the item or error is equal to youtube.getSubscribers. If error does not equal nil, then fmt.println that error. Otherwise, we want to do fmt.println or printf, sorry, and percentage plus v/n, n, and pass in the item object to get returned. And I'm just going to comment this setup routes out for now. Now, when we call this, go run main.go, you should see that everything worked as expected. It's been able to hit the YouTube API and receive a 200 response. And it's been able to unmarshal that JSON response here into the response struct, and then we've been able to retrieve that item, which includes the YouTube channel, the ID, and more importantly, the stats that we're concerned about, which is the views and the subscribers. So we have a package that is able to hit the YouTube API successfully. The next piece of the puzzle is to create the WebSocket package, and that will help us to create the WebSocket endpoint that our front-end application will be connecting to in order to receive continual updates on the number of subscribers our channel has. Now I'm going to come into the Package Explorer. I'm going to create a new folder called WebSocket. And again, I'm going to create a new file within this called WebSocket.go. And within this file, I'm going to do package, WebSocket, as this is now our WebSocket package. And I'm going to import the Gorilla Mux or Gorilla WebSocket package that will help us to define our WebSocket endpoint. So github.com, gorilla/WebSocket. And just below here, I'm going to want to do var upgrader equals WebSocket.upgrader. And I'm going to want to define the read buffer size as 1024 and the write buffer size as again 1024. Cool. Next thing we want to do is to create an upgrade function. Now this will take in the same parameters as a normal HTTP function or handle func. So http.responseWriter and the pointer to the incoming HTTP request. And I want this to return a WebSocket connection. So pointer WebSocket socket.connection.con in this case, or the error if there is one. Now within this function, I'm going to want to do the following. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is upgrader.checkOrigin equals func, and I'm passing in the pointer to the HTTP request. And this is going to return a bool. And in this case, it's just going to return true. Now, the reason I'm doing this is so that other domains or other hosts trying to connect into my WebSocket API will be able to do that without hitting any CORS issues. So that's just a nice and quick one-liner to fix that bug. And the next thing we're going to want to do is to actually create the WebSocket connection. So the way we can do that is WebSocket or error is equal to the upgrader.upgrade, passing in our response writer and the request, and as well as nil. And then we are going to check to see if there's any errors. So if errors, then log.fmt.println to keep things consistent, and return WebSocket or error. And just below this, if there was no error, then we're going to return WebSocket and nil, like so. So that was nice and simple. And on saving that, that should import the FMT and NetHTTP packages, which is what we need. And the final thing we're going to want to do is to create a writer function, which will take in a connection. So WebSocket.con. And within this writer function, I'm essentially going to want to kick off a for loop that runs forever. And I'm going to want to create a ticker within this for loop that ticks every 5 seconds. When that ticks, it's going to then hit the YouTube API to retrieve an updated count of the subscribers. And once it's got that, I'm going to want to write that JSON or that response as a JSON string to the WebSocket connection so the front-end application can actually see the current subscriber count. So start off with a for loop, create a new ticker with the time package, so time.newTicker. And this takes in a duration, so 5 times time.second. And then I'm going to say for every t in range ticker.c, I'm going to do fmt.printf and updating stats %+v/n, and I'm going to pass in the t. I'm then going to do items or error equals youtube.getSubscribers. If error, then print that error. Otherwise, if it has been able to retrieve the items, then we're going to want to create a JSON string. So JSON string or error is equal to json.marshall and this items. Again, quickly check the error. If error does not equal nil, fmt.println error. And then finally, at this point, we should have the JSON string that we wish to send down our WebSocket connection. So the way we do that is if error is equal to connection.writeMessage. And this is going to be a type WebSocket.text message. So WebSocket can't type today, so text message. And we want to pass in the byte array of JSON string. And then finally, if the error does not equal nil, then fmt.println that error or return, which will close the connection. So as we're importing this, noticed a wee typo, change that to ticker. As we're importing this, we'll need to import the YouTube package just as we did in the main.go file, and we'll do that up here. So github.com/elliottforbes/youtube-stats/the YouTube package. And that should fix any issues that we have. Perfect. So we have our WebSocket package in place. The final piece of this is to create the WebSocket API endpoint within our main.go file. Now I'm going to take out this code that we had here in our main function. I'm going to uncomment this setup routes, and I'm going to create a new route within my setup routes function called handle func, and I'm going to say /stats, and this is going to map to a stats function, which we're going to define here. So func stats takes in the response writer and the pointer to the HTTP request, just the same as it does above. I'm then going to call WebSocket or error as equal to the WebSocket package that we've just created, dot upgrade the connection, passing in the response writer and the request. Then I'm going to check for any errors. So if error does not equal nil, fmt.f print f, and we're going to print out that error. So plus v/n, and pass in the error. And finally, I'm going to kick off my WebSocket.writer function, passing in the WebSocket connection. Perfect. And next we're going to have to import, so github.com/elliottforbes/youtube-stats/WebSocket. And that should resolve any issues. So we've been able to successfully create this new WebSocket API endpoint, and we should now be able to kick that off in our terminal. So go run main.go, and as you can see, no errors, but we need a way to validate that what we've done is correct and we're able to constantly pull the YouTube API. So I'm just going to quickly create an index.html file within here. I'm going to use a shortcut to create the structure for it, and then I'm going to do the following. So h2 tag, YouTube subscribers, and I'm going to create a h1 tag just below here. I'm going to leave it empty, but I'm going to give it an ID of subs, like so. I'm then going to create a script tag, script block, and I'm going to say let subscribers equal empty JSON object. I'm going to create a constant WebSocket connection equals new WebSocket, passing in WebSocket as the protocol and localhost port 8080, which is the same port that our current backend server is running on. And then we're going to want to pass in the /stats path here. Now that we've got that, we want to do the following. So we want to define the listeners. So WebSocket.onOpen. So if the connection has been successfully established, we want to take in that event as the parameter and say console.log successfully connected to WebSocket endpoint. Below this, we want to do WebSocket.onError equals function error, and console.log, just console.log that error. And then finally, WebSocket.onMessage equals function, and that'll take in an event, and we're going to be able to retrieve our subscribers from this event. So JSON.parse, and it'll be in the event.data that we're concerned with. Now, just to validate, we can do console.log subscribers. That should print out our populated subscribers object, and we're then going to do document.getElementById, and we're going to get this subs element, So subs, and then we're going to set the inner text equal to subscribers and the path to thing. So statistics dot subscriber count, and that should be us good to go. So I'm going to create a new terminal just in the side here in the same directory, and I'm going to use the live server command to spin up a new live server, and that should open up this page or this index.html file. And as you can see, my live server count has been populated. And if we open up the terminal or the console for this, we should see that it's printing out every 5 seconds the response from the WebSocket. It's also been able to successfully connect to the WebSocket, which is obvious. And in this object, we're able to see so the ID, the kind, and the subscribers and view count, like so. Excellent, so everything looks like it's working as expected. Now, in this tutorial, it's been quite a long one, but we've been able to create a WebSocket API that goes away and constantly polls the YouTube API for up-to-date subscriber information for our channel. We've been able to then pass that information via WebSocket to a front-end application and display that on the screen. I'm hoping you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun for me to write and build up, and if you did, then please leave a like and let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Give me any suggestions for what you think I could do better in these tutorials. And please, as always, subscribe to my channel for more programming content. Cheers!